Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Today I want to talk about two very different subjects. First of all, we're going to visit the new Canonn Mega Ship, and secondly I want to talk about the current state of Elite Dangerous. Now the second subject is a big one, so I hope Canonn and all the people involved in the recent community goal excuse me for putting it on this video, but I think it's a much needed discussion. So here we are then, this is the system variety, and it is where the Canonn Mega Ship has been currently situated. Now word is that eventually the Canonn Mega Ship will be able to be moved. How this is going to work we don't yet know, but it seems that at least weekly, maybe fortnightly, the Canonn Mega Ship will be able to move to coincide with new science projects as well as the unfolding story. Granting player groups access to their very own Mega Ship is a huge step for Elite Dangerous. Whilst they don't get to control it themselves, it does come attached with their very own faction, with all that represents. Now, although as far as I'm aware, Frontier haven't actually said anything about other player groups getting their own megaships, it seems very likely to me that this is the future of the game, and that hopefully before too much longer, other player groups would also be getting their own megaships. Now, community goals have long been player group focused, getting players access to new stations and new planetary bases, as well as various types of upgrades. The community goal for this particular ship was very successful and had nearly 10,000 participants, and very quickly the notice was produced and manufactured and deployed out here in this system. Here we are then, Canonn's very own megaship. Of course, this ship is usable by anyone, not just Canonn members, and it comes with docking facilities and a whole bunch of other facilities which we'll look at a little bit further into the video. And it is actually very high spec. It has more or less every single facility, with the exception of a shipyard. Now, if ultimately these megaships can be deployed into very deep space, such as locations like Colonia, Sagittarius A, or even the Formidine Rift, then they would represent a huge potential for players out there in the depths. Canonn are also testing out another new feature which allows players to become allied to them in the regular way just by doing missions, but the new feature is that once you do become allied with Canonn, you'll receive a Canonn logo to apply to your ship. And just maybe yet again, this will be something that gets extended to other player groups. So, a stunning ship in a very nice location. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there very happy to see this in the game. So, on to our second subject of the day then. The current state or the current situation with Elite Dangerous. What do I mean by that? Well, it's no secret that over recent months there's been a massive change in the tone and context of comments left on my YouTube videos, and this has also been mirrored on the official Elite Dangerous forums as well as the Elite Dangerous subreddit. The game is without doubt deeply loved, and it's very heavily invested in by a lot of players. There's a lot of people who have been here since 2012 and the first day of the Elite Dangerous Kickstarter, and of course there's a lot of other new players that are also very keen to see where the game is heading. Around the internet, the game has often been criticised of being a mile wide and an inch deep, yet those that follow the game manage to stick with it for many hundreds of hours and find a lot of worth within the gameplay. And of course there has been a huge number of updates since the game's initial release back in 2014. If you compare where the game stands now to where it was back in version 1, it is a very different experience indeed. Even if Season 2 has taken much longer to roll out than many people initially expected. And that really does bring us to a key subject that many players have often put forward when dealing with Elite Dangerous, and that is the subject of patience. You need to be patient with the game because development does take quite a while from time to time, and it certainly does take a while for features to be refined. However, it really is starting to look like we might have reached a critical juncture in terms of the player perception of the game. And, well, it seems to me at least that amongst the player community, patience is really starting to wear thin. There's been a number of high-level examples of this quite recently. The third-party tool developer strike, for example, is one of them, and another is the recent Eurogamer article. Now, whilst those are both high-profile, they are by no means the only examples. Again, as I said before, you only have to look at the amount of comments I receive in my YouTube videos that basically complain in one way or another, either about Elite Dangerous or Frontier, and an equal number of comments, probably many more, on the official forums as well as on the subreddit as well. The question then, on my mind at least, is what has happened? What has changed? What's been going on? Well, I've never made my opinion about the game a secret, and many long-time viewers will know exactly how I feel about the game, and that hasn't really changed in recent months. To me, the game has huge potential. It's a massively, wonderfully realised open-world game with a fantastic, gorgeous universe. There's a huge variety of different tasks to get involved in, and the flight model for the ships is second to none. For me, whilst I play many other games here and there, Elite Dangerous is the only one I spend a significant amount of time in. Yet, as I've said, I've never made it a secret that I feel the game has some flaws, and some pretty bad ones at that. One of the major ones is the lack of depth. What do I mean by this? Well, I mean the lack of development on core features. Trade-in hasn't really changed since the version 1 of the game. Exploration has barely changed, although one of the biggest additions was of course planetary landing, which was something very nice and something I spent a lot of time doing, though many people I feel quite rightly point out that there isn't a whole lot to do down when on the surface of planets. Mining is another example. It's had quite a few developments over its day, but still remains a fairly limited and fairly basic feature. Power play, to me, is a feature that is completely separate from the main game, and is something I really don't get invested in. There's nothing there that appeals to me, and I know many other people feel that same way. And that's not necessarily because it's bad, it's rather because the entire experience feels very disassociated from the main game. The engineers has added a massive amount of variety to the game, and I know it's a main focus for many players. It used to be a huge, massive grind. Unfortunately, in recent years or recent months, that has been dramatically reduced. However, it still is a grind nonetheless. People will say a grind is a state of mind, but that might be their own personal opinion. Yet meanwhile, Frontier are happy to use the word grind and do associate it with Elite Dangerous. Now, nearly all these things have been improved over the course of the game's development. As I say, when you compare version 1 of the game to version 2.3, it is dramatically different. I think this really is a good reflection on the Elite Dangerous developers, and I know from a personal experience that they are highly passionate about the game. They absolutely love it and are committed to the game's future. It's also very clear that they work extremely hard on the game, and no matter what anyone says, that can never be taken away from them. Yet, as it stands, it's hard to deny a few truths. It is a truth, it is a fact, that there are core features of the game that have not been developed further since version 1. It is a fact that recent patches have been bug-ridden and come with a major share of problems, far more than many people have been prepared to accept. And this coming after massive waits for the patches, sometimes taking as long as 6 months to arrive. And finally, when some of these updates do arrive, many people have felt them to be bare bones at best. Multi-crew is a good example. It comes with a lot less features than many people were actually expecting. But nonetheless, people stick with the game because they love it, because it is a good game, because it's well developed, and because ultimately many of these features are revised and improved upon. Yet, there is one other key component that tends to keep people looking towards the future of the game, and that is because up until now, we've always known where the game is heading. Players have always been able to feel that even if they might be a bit disappointed with the most recent update, there's always the next one to look forward to. Yet there's two sides to that. Some people have been disappointed again and again with the recent updates, and there's only so many times that can happen before they finally give up. I don't know what percentage of the community people who feel that way actually make up, but it's something we've got to acknowledge. There are people who feel that way, and I think it's a valid and genuine concern. There's a lot of claims lately and a lot of comments about salt miners, and to be honest, I think that is a damaging statement. It disrespects the people's opinions, it disrespects how they feel about the game. Some people are genuine complainers, some people moan regardless, and of course there are the fair share of trolls out there, but nonetheless, that doesn't invalidate the people who have genuine criticisms, and for them to be accused of making salt, well, that's just a little bit unfair. And I'm not talking about the comment here from Frontier on their patch notes. That's something I actually personally found quite funny. I'm rather talking about the fact that the community are now using this term a little bit too often and a little bit too strongly. So we've got two problems here so far. One is the fact that many people feel the core features of the game do need further development and refinement. The second is that people feel often let down by the patch updates. We could also probably throw in there that quite a lot of people often refer to the developing story, the alien story, and how slow it's actually taken to come to any type of conclusion or any type of active development. I agree that certainly seems to be adding to the pressure amongst the community, but without doubt, the things that do appear are pretty well realised and have attracted a lot of attention and have been very, very nice touches to the game. The generation ships are also another nice touch, so between that and whatever happens later with the alien story, I'm sure there's plenty more to come. But none of this really is anything new, yet for some reason the attitude within the community is shifting a bit more towards being against and rather negative towards Elite Dangerous, and I feel that's because we're now in uncharted territory. Compounding these other two issues is the fact we don't know what the future of the game is going to be. We have no idea what patch 2.4 is, and we have no idea what Season 3 is going to be. And there's some people out there that even doubt that there will be a Season 3. Yet it's pretty obvious the game is not dying, and there's still many positive things about the game. The recent Canonn Research Community Gold for the Mega Ship is one of them. Just see how many players actively got involved with that. And that actually does represent a great new direction for the game. Yet I think it is the direction of the game that is of concern to the vast majority of players who are in doubt about the game itself as well as the game's future. How much of these concerns will actually be addressed by future updates is something we don't know because we don't know what the patches are going to be. But to be perfectly honest, those updates would need to contain developments on core features such as trading, such as exploration, such as mining, such as piracy and all the rest of it. And of course, we don't have to have any doubt that there is some amazing content coming up. David Braben himself has confirmed gas giants, he's confirmed atmospheric planets, and he has confirmed walking around. The question is how far off they are in the future. And also, of course, the big question is how well implemented they will actually be when they do finally arrive. Personally, for me, the future of the Elite Dangerous is something I'm very excited about. It's something I'm looking forward to immensely. But I do face that future with a certain amount of trepidation. There are a lot of things I want to see improved and actively built upon. Whether or not that actually happens is anyone's guess, but within the last 2 years, many of those features still haven't seen any development. So whether or not they will in the future, we'll have to wait and see. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.